Oh, my friend Solly's in the request. Can I? My friend, hello, how are you?
Are you really gonna act like you didn't see me requesting for like the past 20 minutes?
Well, yeah, I saw you, and then, but like I said, yeah, I'm only doing, I'm only having one guest at a time here.
You want to 2v1 people? I get it.
I mean, yeah, I could drop drills down, or I could just.
That's perfectly fine. I can leave if you want a 1v1. Like, go ahead, Sully.
No, it's just, I'm just calling literally what's in front of me, I wanted to address the last guy that was up here. Wally was up here. I sent him a DM. I hope he responds to it. I'm interested in that thing he was reading from Cavendish, but I don't know if he can hear me or not. I did send you a DM if you can hear me, bro. If you send me what you have on Cavendish, I'll send you my whole Google Drive, which is like, trust me, bro, you want my Google Drive. It's very good. A lot of interesting stuff in there. Other than that, the Earth's not a ball. I don't know why you guys are writing numbers on paper trying to prove that it moves. You would prove that it was in motion. You actually can't prove that it's in motion. Einstein said that you can't do that. So I don't know why you guys are still trying.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your your repeated comment here about k equaling infinity.
Oh, do you have an explanation for that? A practical one?
A practical one? What do you define practical?
Do you have a practical explanation for why we would have to assume the effective Earth radius to be infinite when tropospheric ducting is invoked?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, we don't really assume that k equals infinity just because inducting is invoked. I think you're being like...
Oh, do you want me to source it?
Well, hold on. We have to be
yeah, we got to hold on because I might have receipts, right?
My friend, okay, let's just calm down. I would love your source, but just let me finish what I'm going to say, and then I'd be happy to. That okay?
Yeah, whatever. I'll get my laptop started.
Dude, why are you in such a salty mood tonight?
I'm just noticing that your behavior changes a little bit depending on who you're talking to and when you're not in DMs versus when you are. That's fine.
Well, that doesn't sound fine.
Well, I'm not here to do therapy with you, so you got to figure that out for yourself. I'm here to talk about the Earth. You brought up k equals infinity. I would love to talk about it.
You brought up k equals infinity first. What are you talking about?
Oh, no. Okay,
I brought it up in response to what someone asked me in the comments, because everybody wants to insinuate that I lost a debate against Blitz and I lost a debate against McToon, but nobody's given me a practical explanation for why we have to assume the effective Earth radius is infinite in this scenario. Doesn't seem practical to me.
Yeah, so, all right. So we know that, k equals infinity is obviously going to be the mathematical boundary where atmospheric reflection exactly cancels... What?
I didn't say anything. I just took myself off mute.
Oh, sorry. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, in the effective Earth radius model. So at that point, the transformed, quote unquote, effective Earth is treated as having an infinite radius, meaning that in the the flat in the geometry model, not physically, actually, practically flat. So the model says that radial ray paths can be treated as straight if we replace Earth's actual radius A with an effective radius of RE equals KA, right? And then ITU in particular explains that in this geometrical transformation, instead of drawing curved radio rays over real Earth, you can draw straight rays over, quote, effective Earth with that radius equals RE equals K. So standard atmosphere gives us K equals 4/3. You know this.
Yeah, 1.33. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the key relation is obviously just going to be that 1/K equals about 1 plus A times 10 to the negative 6 dN over dH, right? Where N is radio refractivity and then D and DH is
refractive index. Yeah, it would be a derivative of refractive index relative to height, usually.
It's the vertical refractivity gradient, right?
Yes. I love how you're trying to fool me with all of this. You think I don't know this?
I said
it's adorable. It's adorable what you guys do to test a person's intelligence. You have to throw differential equations at me. Oh, whoa, I'm big scary numbers and letters, algebra. Oh no. Oh, okay. Continue. You're not giving me a practical explanation for this, though.
I just can't tell if that was misogynistic or not. Damn.
It's not because you're a woman. I can promise you that.
Okay. Anyways,
I do this to everybody.
I think what's most important to understand is like once actual ducting occurs, the atmosphere is usually layered and like non-uniform. So a single K value is just like too simplistic, simply. So like that's why ducting, we always see it analyzed with like the modified refractivity M profiles or ray tracing, and not just like set K equals 0. Like, and this is what the ITU says. That's why the ITU like modify the refractive index used for applications.
Yeah, you take you modify it, and you end up with a variant of N or M rather.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, now what? Like, you're still just like skating away from the fact that we have to make the Earth flat to map this out in path loss. I mean, it's just adorable. You didn't lose me in the differential equations. Now what?
Dude, of course I didn't lose you. This is what you talked about with Blitz. Like, absolutely. I think, I
had to teach Blitz what it was, actually.
Okay. So are you looking
He got it wrong. He thought it was K equals 7 over 6. It's not. It's 4 over 3. So I had to, like, correct him on that.
Boom. So are you looking, when you say like a practical explanation, are you looking for like what an engineer actually does with it rather than like keeping it abstract?
Well, I'm just saying, right? We, of course, know that microwave frequencies, especially over like 40 megahertz, typically demand line of sight. They don't diffract very easily, right? World record right now was 868 megahertz at a distance of 830 miles, not diffracting. They actually penetrate through rain, sleet, snow, clouds, very intense, different criteria, for lack of a better word, of atmosphere. So they don't refract very easily. And the claim is that it did, but we have to invoke tropospheric ducting, and even when we model it out, we have to make the Earth flat, and we don't bend the transmission. So I'm just trying to figure out like how long it's going to take for you guys to realize that the light's not bending around the ball. It's just flat. It's flat water. It's from the Portugal to the Canary Islands? Forgive me if I'm not quoting that directly accurately, but 830 miles, yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I couldn't tell you the islands either, but yeah. I think that, you're asking the exact right question. Like, so I'm going to try and like, your question is like, if high frequency radio doesn't bend easily, why use a flat model at all? Is that kind of what you're asking?
No, if they don't bend easily, how did it bend 830 miles over 80 miles of Earth curvature? And why did we consolidate for that with making the Earth flat in a model at post-process? Like, you don't even map it out over a globe. Like, I find that to be so interesting. Not only does it not work on a globe, like, it just geometrically and in the terms of like physics of light, just doesn't work. But you guys try to rationalize by saying that there's a part of the atmosphere where it just gets trapped, which is completely unfalsifiable. There's no way for me to prove that there isn't that, right? It's completely unfalsifiable, non-scientific in every way. But whatever, I'll run with it. And then you have to model it out in geodesy, assuming the radius of the Earth is infinite. That's just the icing on the cake. So the Earth's not a ball, even in a cartoon model, post-process. It's adorable. I love it.
All right. Yeah, I definitely hear you. It obviously does sound super counterintuitive at first. Like, I think what you're missing here is just like the missing piece that like doesn't bend easily means like obviously like not under ordinary atmosphere, it cannot be guided by a strong tropospheric duct, right?
Did you know like what the transmitter and the receiver were located on? Like, it was on a boat, the transmitter.
And then, the boat buoy thing, yeah.
Yeah. So it gets trapped in a part of the troposphere, right?
Well, hold on. Can I just finish what I was saying first? And then I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Sure,
is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So I think the key distinction here is that like it didn't like bend over 80 miles of curvature, like over this 880. It's because like the distance traveled obviously was hundreds of miles. I think of a duct more as like a waveguide, right? When you're shouting down the hallway, your sound doesn't curve around the hallway in a particular arc. It's like guided by the walls, right? And tropospheric ducts act similarly. They guide radio waves between atmospheric layers around the sea surface, and like they did in the Lorawan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the question we ought to ask is like, what atmospheric layer guided the signal for that path, as opposed to like, how did one ray bend around 80 miles of curvature?
Yeah,
And
no, I
think,
would I'd agree with that, but I'd also like to know, when did electromagnetic radiation develop sentience and know exactly when to leave said tropospheric duct to interact and get received by a buoy in the ocean? Like, that is a really awfully smart beam of electromagnetic radiation.
I think you definitely ask a good question, but I want to address your second point. And
Yeah, let's just not answer my questions. That doesn't make sense.
Well, hold on. I will answer your question, but you asked a
No,
few
you
different
won't. There isn't one. Come on, just admit that you have there's no practical or logical explanation for this.
Well,
it's okay.
no.
The Earth's not a ball. Don't make it weird.
Sully, when are you going to stop interrupting me?
Go ahead. I would like some honesty from you. That's what I'd really enjoy, but it doesn't seem like you're capable. Judging by the people that you hang out with and the people that you moderate for you, it seems like you've made your mind up in regards to this discussion, and you've sided with the side of evil. That's okay, though.
Sully, first of all, I have mod powers and no one's live, right?
I didn't say anything about
I
that.
also want to point this out, Sully.
You're going to invoke a red herring now? You're going to invoke a red herring?
No. I'm not insulting you. It's actually someone that you follow and interact with on a daily basis.
Who's that?
So, I'm curious if you've ever read the Bible before.
I'm not a Christian.
You're not a Christian? Okay.
Oh, wow. And who were you going to say? I'm curious, because I don't like most flat earthers. So don't...
Angel. Yeah.
Okay, what about him?
Yeah, you realize that, people, it's strange that, you may not be a Christian. Do you have any God belief at all, Sully? I'm actually intrigued about this.
I don't want to stay on this for too long, but there's intelligent design. Yeah.
Okay, so what I was getting to was that many folks, especially who adopt the creationist view that align with young Earth and particularly flat Earth belief, are Christian in nature.
There's also Muslims. There's also Jews.
Right, there's also Muslims too.
Oh.
But
can Christians be Globers? Can Christians be Globers?
Yeah, Christians.
So this is a non sequitur and just goes against sort of like a false dichotomy that you're kind of...
Significant justification for their belief in a flat Earth is that it was specifically generated as a basically habitat.
Do you know what a genetic fallacy is?
Right, so hold on, Sully. No. You can't just keep cutting people off.
Do you know what a genetic fallacy is?
It's completely irrelevant. Why are you talking
I wouldn't be asking you if it wasn't relevant. I don't do that. A genetic fallacy is where you dismiss your opponent's argument based on the place of its origin, right? So you're saying that like the argument is because I read it in the Bible. Well, that would be a place of origin. It doesn't discredit the shape of the Earth just because they read it in a book. You read a science book when you were 3. When you were like 5, in kindergarten, and somebody told you that the Earth was moving and you believed it since, I could call that a genetic fallacy as well, but I don't do that. Oh, that's not the same thing for some reason. Okay. Just saying, like, if you don't get to your point, then we're going to have to go back on topic and talk about electromagnetic radiation that debunks the curvature of the Earth again.
So people's initial origin of their belief in a flat Earth...
It's a genetic fallacy. I'm not addressing it.
No, but again... you can just say genetic fallacy, but that doesn't take away from the fact
it's a genetic fallacy. I'm not addressing it.
Don, just mute him really quick. Don, just mute him so I can get my point across. So he just doesn't
your point is a non sequitur. You're obfuscating away from a topic that we were in depth on.
I really just want to talk to him about the about this experiment.
Yeah. Genetic fallacies aside, go ahead.
Yeah. So Okay, and then just to keep things fair, Drills, I'm just gonna drop you for the time being, just so we can 1v1 as well as possible. Hold on 1 second. I'm putting my hair up for this.
Damn.
It's getting serious. Okay. Okay. So I think so your first question, or your second question was like, why use a flat Earth in post-processing if Earth globe, right? So I think because like when you flatten the coordinate system, you're not necessarily denying the Earth's shape. Like in radio propagation, you can do the math in two ways. You already know this: curved Earth, curved ray, or like flat Earth modeling. So if you mathematically flatten the Earth, but you add Earth's curvature back into the refractivity profile by using like the MH equals NH plus 157H. That's because like the 157 term is the Earth curvature correction. In other words, your quote unquote flat model still contains Earth curvature in post processing. That's like what the ITU. That's what the ITU uses for their tropospheric refraction calculation.
It's interesting because I spoke with somebody last night that claims to be studying this in college, and he insisted that if you were to math it out like by bending the light beam, right? It would theoretically crash a computer, right? But I suppose.
I mean, that's something I would definitely bring up with him. I don't know who you're talking about or what. I wasn't there.
He was a Glober, for what it's worth.
Well, I assumed as such, yeah. But unfortunately, I can't answer for what he was saying, especially not knowing the context of like the conversation. But I'm happy to continue talking about like what we're talking about here.
He was saying effectively that instead of doing one equation for the coefficient of k, you would have to do, he said, up to infinite levels of equations for like every millimeter of the transmission effectively, which I think is a stretch, but that would like crash computers, and it's just like, oh, I don't know about that. But
do you believe that to be true?
I don't know. My response was, okay, so you're telling me that the globe crashes computers. Cool. That's the wittiest thing that I could think to say.
That was pretty witty. I'll give you that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. I mean, the math just isn't that hard. I mean, it's bad, but I mean, like, I don't think it could crash computers when we've like done way crazier things with computers. I think at the end of the day, like, even if you make the graph flat to make the math easier, the curvature is still inside of that equation.
Post process.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying. Like, it's all post-process. In reality, though, we aim them at, like, 0, azimuth, typically, or, like, slightly above the horizon, which would still be 0, azimuth. We aim them level, and they work very consistently. And this isn't even, like, this is just, like, a flash in the pan. I have entire laundry lists of transmissions that go anywhere from, like, 2,000 to almost up to 7,000 kilometers. I think the one is, like, 6,700 kilometers or something, so that's not directly accurate, but it's quite compelling.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and answer your third question now, which was when did the electromagnetic radiation gain sentience and learn how to leave the tropospheric duct and go to the buoy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a fabulous objection, because damn, like, you ate me up there. Unfortunately, it still just like doesn't learn how to leave the duct, of course. Like the Bowie boot antenna, we already know it's already at the duct entrance. In the LoRaWAN record, they say that, the transmitters were installed on the fishing boat near wherever, and then the gateway was in Portugal.
Canary, I think it's the other way around.
Oh,
Canary Islands, the other way around.
Yeah, pardon me. So, it's the signal didn't travel inside a duct and then somehow decide to go to the buoy. It was emitted from the boat buoy tractor and then coupled into the duct. So, and the tropospheric duct obviously is not a sealed pipe. It's a refractive layer. So, like the top of the duct is not like a ceiling. It's just a region where the index changes fast enough that the shallow radio rays bend back and downward. And this is again all in the ITU, but. Practically, I think about it like this. The antenna radiates in many directions, right? If a duct exists near the sea surface, some of the energy gets trapped and guided, and then the receiver doesn't need the whole beam to exist, right? So at the end of the day, like a duct is just not a sealed tube that the wave ever had to escape from. The transmitter just couples energy into the duct at one end. The duct guides some of that energy along the path, and the receiver samples whatever energy couples out or remains in the duct, like near the other end.
That's fair. I mean, kind of, except for tropospheric ducts are allegedly typically found at higher elevations. Like all the other transmissions that I've looked at, the ones that do go like 4,000 kilometers, 6,000 kilometers, they all launch those from the top of mountain peaks, right? a few thousand meters up. So that's typically where you would find a quote-unquote tropospheric duct, because this is, of course, proportional to pressure and temperature, right? Over distance, input over output relative to distance. So to claim that this happened roughly at sea level, well, I don't find that to be I don't believe that. Seems like we can just find tropic ducts anywhere. Anytime there's a microwave frequency transmission and it goes a little too far and we have a hard time explaining how it works on a sphere, all of a sudden there's a duct there that's invisible, completely unfalsifiable. Trust me, you can look for it, you're never going to have it. You can measure it and you can calculate for it, but it's all just like cooked math. I mean, for fuck's sake, you add the number in contention to your equation, right? 0.157 being that number. When you develop your modified refractive index, you take your n, you add 0.157, and then you times that by height, and that gives you your modified refractive index, which is obviously the number in contention, because when the k factor becomes 0.157 negative, then you have your quote unquote tropospheric duct, which I find to be quite peculiar. It's almost like they cooked the math specifically for this. It's very interesting, very circular this becomes. And again, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to have a tropospheric duct roughly right at sea level. I mean, how high is a buoy, to be honest? Really, it's not that high. When typically they're found at much, much, much higher elevations.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to like the tropospheric duct, right? I think what we have to remember is that the atmosphere, especially above the ocean, and this is why we get like the lake effect, or the ocean effect, is just because it's simply not always uniform, and it's just because over the sea, evaporation is simply continuously adding water vapor to the air. I mean, you can see this in like just like any basic like water cycle situation, like humidity, temperature increases, decreases very rapidly, like with the height over the first like dozens of meters over the ocean. And then obviously because refractivity just depends strongly on humidity, this obviously creates a super strong vertical refractivity gradient, right? So the duct itself just isn't in the water, it's just the atmospheric layer above the water, right?
Okay. I guess this brings us to our next talking point of does light...
Whoa. So what's the next talking point? Because I think we still gotta...
Well, this is still incorporated in this.
Okay.
Does light typically bend towards the most dense medium?
Does light typically bend toward the most dense medium?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure.
That's what refraction is. Yeah. Of course it does. Your claim is that light bends down. That's the only way you can explain observations. Like, Chicago skyline. I heard you guys going on about that. You claimed that it was debunked, which I find hilarious. It's literally observable several days throughout the year, but whatever. So your claim...
you don't debunk the observation, you debunk the conclusion that people derive from the observation, right?
No, I don't think you guys do that at all. I think you guys claim refraction with whatever specificity is required and just say fuck you, flat earthers, because most of them can't keep up with the math, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Right, so light does bend downwards towards the most dense medium. That would mean that it would always interact with the surface of the Earth far before it would reach your eyes, especially on a curved surface.
I think, yeah, but like in tropospheric ducting, if the refractive index is higher, lower down, and decreases quickly with height, then like the wave can keep bending downward back toward denser, lower air and at sea surface. That's how a duct can guide these low angle radio waves, right?
So there's an 830-mile duct that's unfalsifiable. How do I falsify
it? Can you just repeat the experiment?
Not with my own devices, no. Which is part of what makes this unfalsifiable.
But like, not you. Sorry, not you in particular, but like, can people just like recreate the experiment?
Yeah, but it seems like every time we send a transmission way too far, we just invoke tropospheric ducting. So I'm finding it like, how do I falsify the postulate of a tropospheric duct in and of itself? How is that falsifiable? Because Karl Popper would disagree with this. I think he would say something about this being unfalsifiable and non-scientific.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously the claim has never been like, oh yeah, there's like this 800-mile continuous duct. It's literally just the claim, and what this fact, like the LoRaWAN proves is like, yes, the signal was received. And like to claim like any kind of ducting, we, or to claim like a super long duct, we'd have to like, have like some kind of supporting evidence, right? So we don't, like, we as Globers don't just get to say like ducting, haha, and then be done, right? There's also, just a rare long distance, you know, even like a rare long distance ocean radio just doesn't mean like Earth flat. It just implies like some kind of anomalous propagation until the atmospheric data provides like the exact mechanism.
Yeah, but you typically calculate the atmospheric data from the location that you're in and like the location that you're sending it to, and maybe a few locations in between if you're lucky. So it's really interesting that we just believe that we can take two measurements of like temperature, pressure, water vapor, etc., height, and we can calculate how it's going to behave throughout an entire 830-mile stretch. I've driven across the country twice, America. And I can tell you that a lot changes in 830 miles. A lot. So, I don't know. Not really buying it. You know what I mean? Just not buying it. I need, like I said in the beginning, I need practical explanations for this that are like demonstrable, recreatable, right? Like this is, you even called it an anomaly yourself. Anomalies should be approached with skepticism, not open arms.
Sure. So would you say that like, yeah, we ought to see this and think like, perhaps like Earth flat?
Well,
Is that kind of
I think the default position is that, like I said, microwaves travel through rain, sleet, snow, hail, clouds, rain. I said rain. Varieties of atmospheres with very little effect, attenuation, of course, but not much in the realm of like bending. And for you to claim that it's bending around a ball, I mean, Snell's law dictates that it would only have one change of incident. It would just bend. It would just like similar to when you put a pencil in a glass of water. It doesn't bend. It just changes the angle of incident one time, and that's a real change of medium, which it does require two mediums, by the way. So for you to even claim refraction in the first place is insane. Not to mention a tropospheric duct that's just bending it around the ball. But they also
we already talked about the tropospheric duct, did we not?
Okay. Is this? Do you not want that to be part of your claim anymore?
No, but you're bringing this up as like a list of like things that we need to account for and things like that. We need to explain for it.
I don't need to explain for tropospheric ducting. My argument is that it just travels line of sight, which is the default position. For you to make an extraordinary claim that there's a layer of the atmosphere with a temperature inversion that causes it to bend around the ball, even though light doesn't behave that way, it typically just has one change in angle of incident, and I'm just supposed to believe that. Well, you have an extraordinary claim. You have extraordinary burden of proof, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like the event just simply proves like long range reception, right? Like it simply does not by itself prove like Earth flat, prove a specific duct or any of that. Like, and like to identify like the specific mechanism, we'd obviously need like atmospheric evidence from like the path, the 800-mile path. And by that, I mean, issue like things about the antenna, weather data along the route, things like that. But here's the thing, Sully. I feel like your assumption that like, yeah, it should go line of sight, I think that's completely valid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't contend with that. Like, I think that's valid to say like, yeah, it should be that. However, I'm just saying, just this long range perception just does not by itself prove Earth flat.
Okay, well then let's do this in the form of Steelman's, right? To Steelman your position, you claim that there's a duct. That is the explanation for this. Just short and simple. I won't add any more to it or take away.
I would not say that that's 100% accurate.
Oh, so you have no explanation for this. That's not good.
No. Because again, I accept that like tropospheric ducting is like obviously real. I just don't think it should,
it's real, but you don't think that that's what happened here, like all of a sudden?
No, I don't think that's like the most accurate Steelman. I because I think we also need to account for things like the fact that this was over an ocean, which obviously it creates like huge issues with like temperature, visual refractivity profiles, and like ray tracing.
Okay. So like I said, refractivity bends towards the most dense medium. So if it was bending downward towards the most dense medium over 830 miles, it would simply interact with the Earth's surface if it was bending around a ball. Like it would just right into the wall of ocean that it's allegedly traveling over top of. So that doesn't even work. Like none of this works.
I feel like I kind of went over how it works.
Refractivity requires first and foremost two isotropic mediums. Okay, so you don't have that. You have one body of air. You can't claim that just because it's a different temperature, it's suddenly a different material medium. That's not how that works. So you can't even.
But we understand that like we understand that this obviously like that temperature does indeed change like how the atmosphere works. Like not fundamentally, but like.
I agree.
Okay.
But it doesn't get to make it like change angle of incident however many times would be required to make it bend around a ball. That's where you have extraordinary burden of proof.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think like at the end of the day, like this event like obviously requires like a propagation explanation. I just don't think it erases Earth curvature.
Well, I tried.
You tried, and I tried too. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night, Dawn. I gotta go to bed. Peace.
Have a good night, Sully. Stay safe.